So within the realm of fitness testing, there are a number of questions that you can get surrounding validity, reliability, practicality, and methods of data collection. And the question that we have here, it's asking you about qualitative data. Now we can have qualitative and we can have quantitative. Now the difference between quality and quantity is quality is subjective and quantity is objective. And what I mean by that is qualitative is your personal opinions, your perspective on something, whereas quantitative or objective data is it's unbiased. There's no opinion that's related to the data that's being collected. So when we look down this list, what we're looking for are two things where the client's opinion doesn't really come into it. It's what we make of something. So it's our take on the information. So we might be making notes in our own way. We might be watching something and we write down what we think that we can see and what we can take from what's going on in front of us. So if we look down here, we've got interviews, observations, surveys, and questionnaires. They're the four different options that they've given us. And within these four categories, we've got two from qualitative and two from quantitative. Now, questionnaires, they are completely done by the client, by the person that you are collecting the data from. And then from those questions, you can then tabulate and put into graphs and tables and compare and contrast quite clearly lots of different clients' responses. So questionnaires are a good way to elicit quantitative data. Now, within the questionnaire, there might be a section for the person to write down their personal opinion, and that might be qualitative in a sense, but it's still dictated by the client. So what we're looking for are two methods that we can actually get the data from our perspective. So questionnaires, we write the questions, yes, but it's number form, it's data form from the client. So that's not what we're looking for. So we can rule out D and, that's the only one with questionnaires. Surveys. Now this is similar to a questionnaire. We're handing out information or handing out the questions, we're then collecting the data back. Now if we had multiple clients, we'd be able to compare and contrast the responses to each question. So again, there's quite a narrow form of data that we're actually collecting back. So we're looking for things such as interviews, where it's quite open-ended. Now we might have a few set questions in there, but the interview might be fairly fluid, fairly open. It might just roll with the punches. And if it does, the questionnaire, the person who's actually asking the questions, they're actually, they're following, no set script. They might ask questions based off the answer, which means that every single interview is going to be different. It's going to be subjective, as well as observations. The person who is observing, they're writing down what they see unfold in front of them. So the context might be the same in different clients, but it's the observer's own perspective which is creating the data. You could have 10 different observers watching the same thing, and you might generate 10 pieces of different data. So it's qualitative based, it's quite descriptive in nature. We're watching something which is very hard to actually quantify and to put numbers and use empirical data surrounding it. So what we're looking for here are interviews and observations. Questionnaires and surveys, great for actually getting back numerical data from a large populace, and in doing so we can then compare and contrast those numbers. Interviews, they're very one-to-one, and we can ask a whole range of questions which elicit unique responses to that client. And then observations, it's your own personal perspective looking on at a performance or something which is happening in front of you or that's been filmed, but it's your take on it. So the answer for this one, which one of these are suitable methods for collecting qualitative data, interviews and observations, question A. Now this question could have been quantitative data, which is where we could have used questionnaires a little bit better, we could have used surveys and things like that. So hope that helped, and I'll see you again in the next one.